Welcome to another episode of Just Saying with. Today, we're going to be talking to a world famous entertainer and international magician of the year, Cosentino, who celebrates 10 years of global success. Hi, Cosentino. Thank you very much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to chat with you.
Yeah, um, International Magician of the Year, celebrating 10 years of success. We met, I think, in 2017, the last time that you were down here in Singapore, and you're making your way back here again for a series of shows.
Yes. I was going to say off the call, but I wasn't sure if I was out of line. I was going to say, I thought we'd had met before, but I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if I should say that or not. But yes, we did. We met in 2017 when I was playing Marina Bay Sands. This was pre my TV shows in Singapore,
Yep.
and so that kind of all kickstarted it. But we are back with a 10-year celebration of my life in magic. I say 10 years because that's when most people got introduced to me of my style of magic 10 years ago through my television shows. But I've been doing performing and magic since I was 12 years old. I don't want to give my age away, but it's been a long, long time.
Yeah, and this year you're bringing the show Cosentino Decennium, the greatest live magic show. Yeah. What is Decennium? 10 years? That's why Decennium?
You said it perfectly. It's Latin for decade, for 10 years. So I guess it makes sense, doesn't it?
It does. And, as you mentioned, as most magicians do, you typically start quite early on. There are the rare few that pick up magic later on in life. But like you said, you're 12 years old. So my question is, I remember when I was growing up, on TV, I used to see David Copperfield. He was the name. Fast forward 15, 20 years, you had David Blaine, Chris Angel that came up with TV shows. Now, as a very, very successful magician yourself, illusionist, performer, how do you think that the industry of magic, where you've had even your Penn and Tellers, how has the industry of magic evolved and changed from when you started till what you're producing today?
Yeah, same thing. I grew up watching David Copperfield on TV, then later on David Blaine, Chris Angel, exactly the same. Well, the trend went from being, these grand illusions with David Copperfield, even Siegfried and Roy, into close-ups, street magic with David Blaine, and then kind of back up a little bit with the illusions and Chris Angel. And now what we've got really on TV and off TV are different pockets or different genres of magic. So you've got now all aspects of the art form are very well represented and respected. So you've got people doing stage illusions, you've got people doing close-up magic, you've got people doing mentalism, you've got people doing escapes, and there's a space for all of them, which is really, really beautiful. So it kind of used to be one or the other, and I don't necessarily see it like that anymore. There's people doing magic on social media. There's people doing magic on TV. There's people doing magic just live. So magicians have found different ways to present the art form, and all of them are great. I don't necessarily like to say to people, oh, if you're a close-up magician, you're better, or if you're a stage, because all of them have challenges. Close-up magic has its challenge. Stage magic has a lot of challenge with the theater and the production. The escapes obviously death-defying. Whether you're doing it on socials, there's ways that can make it easier. There's ways that make it harder. So it's all relative. I think that's the biggest change. Magic is happening in different pockets, which is why my live show, I like to represent all aspects: the close-up magic, the stage illusions, the escapes, costuming, lighting, sound, production. I think that makes for a very balanced and rounded performance. So it's a good question, and I'm very conscious of trying to implement those elements.
And you've almost answered my follow-up question, which was, like you mentioned, you do all of that in your show. What kind of magician do you put yourself in a silo? Is there a type of magic that you think that you specialize in? Not a silo, but what you specialize in, or is it being a jack of all trades, or is it being a master of all as well? Where do you see yourself at?
It's a good question. I would, if I had to box it, which is interesting because as a magician, by definition, what you're doing is impossible. And therefore, you can't really box it. You can't really put it in a category. You're doing the impossible. But if I needed to, I would say primarily I'm a stage performer. But I've got to be careful because I do a lot of TV. I've just had my latest TV special air in Australia, New Zealand. It's about to air in Asia again. I make a lot of TV. I've made 10 television specials. I do a lot of TV. But primarily, I'm a stage performer. And I specialize in doing stage productions. But in those stage productions, there are grand illusions, people appearing and disappearing and levitating and teleporting. There's close-up magic where we bring it down. I'm literally doing it on the table in front of you, projected onto video screens. There's the crazy death-defying escapes where I'm in and out of water tanks, hanging upside down from burning ropes. There is the mentalism where I'm seemingly predicting the future or reading somebody's mind. And again, with repeating myself, I think for me, it's like a great film. I like watching comedies. I like watching romance films. I love watching action films. But I tell you what the best films are. The best films have action, a little bit of comedy, a little bit of romance, a little bit of suspense. So if I can build all that into my show, I just think it becomes a stronger performance. And that's what I try to do. But yes, it is overall a stage production with all these different elements in it.
I think that's very, very well said. And you mentioned doing tricks on camera, and I think you have one for us today. So I think this is going to be the very first time on the podcast that it's actually going to be a different kind of interactive experience. I've never done any of this before. I've seen it being done to others. So,
take it away.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Well, a packet of playing cards to a magician are very important. The packet of playing cards aren't just the cardboard or the inks that they're that are printed on them. They represent far more. I'll give you without boring you to death, I'll give you a little example. There are 52 different cards in a pack, different unique cards. The 52 cards are actually, they're kind of a calendar. They represent the 52 weeks in a year. Mm-hmm. Now, there are 4 suits, hearts, clubs, diamonds, spades. They represent the 4 seasons in a year. If you take an ace, which you add up as number 1, and you go all the way to a king, which would be a 13, you add them all up across the 4 suits, you actually end up with 365, which of course every day. So to a magician, when someone selects a card, whether they get a heart or a diamond, a club or a spade, a number card versus a picture card, it actually has significance to the magician. Mm-hmm. Just so your viewers understand that. Okay. With that being said, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. We're going to narrow a few things down. Just to begin, really simple. There are black cards and there are red cards. You just have to tell me what you'd like to use. Would you like to use black cards or red cards?
Black.
Okay, black. So I've got black cards here. Okay, good. Now I'm going to keep this in full view the entire time so you understand I'm not cheap. Black cards. Okay. If they're black cards, there are clubs and there are spades. And it's a free choice. You can just decide whether you want to use a club or a spade.
Clubs. Let's go with clubs.
Are you sure?
Yeah. The spade is what you use after you hit someone with a club.
I like that. Okay, so clubs. But everyone needs to understand these are your choices. I mean, you could go red, you could have gone, so but we're going with club. Okay. There are number cards, so ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 10, and there are picture cards, which are a jack, a queen, and a king. And you just decide, you want to use numbers or pictures?
Let's use numbers.
Okay, so no pictures, no jacks, no queen. Okay, pictures. Okay, with the picture card, number cards, no more pictures. You have an ace all the way through to 10. So you can choose any number between 1 and 10, basically.
Right. I just say the number out.
Yeah, just tell me.
7.
7. Okay, so black cards, clubs, numbers, and you chose 7.
That's right.
And any of those could be different.
Yep.
And therefore that would change the outcome of what we're about to do. Okay? Okay, that's fine. The cards have been sitting here the whole time. You know that, as you've been making your deduction. I took one card and I placed it face up in the pack, kind of like a prediction. And this was before we came on the call. I know we have met, which makes this slightly interesting, but we haven't set it up. But listen, you said 7 of clubs. As I go through the pack, notice a couple of things. The cards are face down and they're all black cards. That's important. Right. But I'll do it like this so you can see. And have a look. One card is face up. Out of the entire, I'm going to go through the entire pack. Out of the entire pack. What's really, really crazy is that I said I made a prediction before we started. Do you remember that?
Yep.
The 7 of clubs is the only, and I made attention to this. I said all the cards were face down and they were all blue. The 7 of clubs is the only card with a red back.
Oh.
Now, do you know what's even crazier? You really had no choice but to choose the 7 of clubs. And do you know why? Because I made sure the 7 of clubs was the only card in the pack that's even printed. No other card even exists.
That is mind-blowing. That's mind-blowing.
There you go. Now, when we get off the call, imagine if you'd chosen spades.
Yeah.
Or pitches. It's interesting, isn't it?
I there's no way I can explain that. You definitely got me. Wow.
And that's something very, very simple, very, very simple to do through the video screen, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that sets up the next question then. If you could describe in 3 words, what can fans expect from Decennium?
3 words. Baffling, amazing, and hopefully inspiring.
That's nice. Baffling, amazing, and inspiring. Yeah. So, Cosentino, thank you very much for taking this call and for being with us today. Cosentino's Decennium, the greatest live magic show, brought to us by Base Entertainment Asia, is coming back to Singapore from the 24th of August to the 3rd of September 2023 this year, in a couple of weeks at the Sands Theatre at Marina Bay Sands, the Sands Theatre, to celebrate 10 years of global success with his best, and this is promising to be his best production yet. So, Cosentino, thank you once again for joining us on this call, and can't wait to see you back in Singapore.
Oh, thank you for taking the time to chat with me. I really appreciate it. I cannot wait to see everybody at the show. They may have seen my shows on AXN. They're still playing now, but seeing it on TV and seeing it live is a completely different thing. This is a brand new production, and I'm very excited to bring it. I'm very excited to be back in Singapore. I love Singapore. My fiance loves Singapore. My brother loves Singapore. So, and I'm not just saying that. Whenever we can get to Singapore, when she was performing in shows, I was like, oh, I'll come to Singapore. I'll carry the bag. So I love Singapore. I really do. Cannot wait to see everybody there. And I'm sure you're going to enjoy the show. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. And see you here.